Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. I'm a big fan of domination. And the reason why I'm a big fan of domination is because I know the work that's put in to be dominant. A lot of people scoff at that. You're too good, or the competition wasn't good enough. When in reality, the competition was a lot better than what you thought it was. It's just that the dominant party, they put the work in and showed it. Serena Williams, when she goes up against Maria Sharapova is at the top of the competition. She's at the top of the food chain. When Tiger Woods is dominating the Masters, it's not that he's just that good and those guys aren't very good. Those guys are awesome. He's just even better. The Lakers, when they had Shaq and Kobe, when they ran the table 3 years in a row. It wasn't that the competition wasn't very good. It was just that we were better. And that's a testament of the work that they put in. A prime example of that would be the Milwaukee Bucks. That was a dominant performance that they put in yesterday defensively. Dominant. I'm talking about a team who the Boston Celtics show up in this playoff series averaging 113 points. And the hole in the 89. They scored 25 one time in that game yesterday. The rest of the three quarters, they didn't score 25 points. They were held to under 25 in the rest of those three quarters, including the fourth quarter, where they were held under 20. And that was largely due to Pat Connaughton, Grayson Allen, Drew Holiday, Wesley Matthews. These guys are picking up full court, and they're slowing down that offense because Boston wants to get out and they want to speed up the offense and they want to run. Well, when the pickup point is higher than what it normally is, now you get to slow their offense down. And now they're not getting into their offense until 11 seconds in the shot clock. Well, now they got to hurry up. And when you got to hurry up, what do? You take bad shots. And I think that Milwaukee forced Boston into a lot of bad shots, which would explain why they shot under 40% on the long ball and barely 40% for the game. We're talking about a Boston Celtic team that shot 84 shots. 50 of them were threes. Now, that's a combination of things. Number one, the shot clock is running down because Milwaukee's defense is so good. And with Milwaukee's defense being so good, they got to take rush shots. The other part of that is there's nothing in between that they're getting. And I think that they settled a lot of times for shooting the long ball. I think a lot of times they settled for shooting the long ball. Prime example would be Jaylen Brown. He took 13 shots yesterday. 9 of them were from the arc. 9 of them were from three. Jason Tatum is the same way. Took 18 shots yesterday. 9 of them were long balls. And you guys know how I feel about Jason Tatum. I'm a huge Jason Tatum fan. I think Jason Tatum, in the next 2 years, we're going to be talking about him as the best player in the game. But he's not mature enough yet to understand the difference between in-between game, long ball, and going to the basket. For him right now, it's either this or that. He's either shooting the long ball or he's going to the basket. And his in-between game is so good, and if he utilized it more offensively, he would be so much better. Not only would he be so much better, he would help that Boston Celtic unit so much more. Jaylen Brown is another one. His game there is no in-between game with him. He's either shooting the long ball or he's at the basket. Marcus Smart is the same way. This Boston Celtic team is exactly that. There is no in-between with them. They're either shooting the long ball or they're going to the basket. That's not as difficult to guard. And the reason why that's not as difficult to guard, because you take that in-between game away, you can still shrink our defense. And we can still help. And we can still get guys in places in space that we need to. For them to shoot 53s, which would also explain them only getting 8 fast break points. Well, they can't speed the game up. They can't speed the game up if they're not rebounding. They can't speed the game up if the pickup point is at the half court, not at the half court line, at the pickup point is at the full court line. They're getting slowed down. They can't speed the game up. Milwaukee, on the other hand, can. And the reason why Milwaukee can is because those 53s that you're shooting, when you shoot under 30%, under 40%, we can speed the game up because those are long rebounds that we're getting. And because those are long rebounds that we're getting, that's Giannis in there rebounding, right? That's Portis in there rebounding. These guys are rebounding, and now we can speed the game up, and we could get more points, a lot more points. So I look at that right there, and I also look at what we just got finished talking about when we talk about them, the pickup point being at the full court line. Well, that also creates a lot of turnovers. And with Boston having 18 turnovers, I mean, Milwaukee got 27 points off turnovers. There's your ball game right there. 27 points off turnovers and 28 fast break points. That's big right there. 27 to that's 56 points off fast break points and turnovers. That's more than half of their points that they had yesterday. There's your ball game right there. I said this before this series started that I thought Jaylen Brown would be the difference in this series, and it has to. He cannot get outplayed, or not outplayed. He cannot get played to a tie with Grayson Allen. That can't happen. That cannot happen. And the way that happens is him shooting the long ball the way he does and flying around defensively without any direction. Giannis has a tendency to. Not a tendency, I take that back. Giannis does that to defenses. He makes guys fly around because he demands so much attention where you're getting guys doubling and tripling him. Now, Grant Williams is asking Marcus Smart not to double. Well, if you're not going to double Giannis and he's going to go against Grant Williams, he's going to dominate him. That's why Marcus Smart is doubling him. Right? That's exactly why Marcus Smart is doubling him. So I look at this Boston team, and I'm a big fan, like I said, of Jason Tatum. I said before the season started that I thought that Milwaukee was the NBA champion again. I'm not really feeling them without Middleton, but they make up for so much. The rest of their guys, Connaughton, Portis, Grayson Allen, Wesley Matthews, they make up so much of what they're missing from Middleton, not just from points. Defensively, that's huge for them, right? That is huge for them. And I think that we can get a 6-game series, and I think that it's possible that Milwaukee can beat them. Like I said, I picked Milwaukee to win the NBA championship before the season started, and I'm sticking with it. I think that the winner of this series wins the NBA championship, and I stand on that. No doubt about that. I definitely stand on that. You know, Grayson Allen and Pat Connaughton going 7 for 14 combined and giving you 7 rebounds and 4 assists. And this is what I meant when I said Jaylen Brown cannot get played to a tie. Because those two guys combined, if they do what you did, that's throwing a monkey wrench in everything that we're doing. And that means that you're not performing up to your level. Like I just said about him shooting the long ball. He shot 9 threes. Nothing was in. He got one shot in between. Everything else was either going to the basket or shooting the long ball. That's where he gets himself in a lot of trouble. In a lot of trouble. I'm liking what I'm seeing from this Boston Celtics series. I thought that Jrue Holiday would outplay Marcus Smart. I think he's a better player. I think he's a better offensive player. I think he's a better defensive player. And I thought that he would outplay him. Now, Marcus Smart being beat up like he is, I mean, that is a benefit to Jrue Holiday, but we can't worry about that. I cannot worry about that. That is not my problem if I'm Jrue Holiday. Absolutely not. That is not my problem. I will not listen to the logic of officiating. Milwaukee shot one more free throw than the Boston Celtics. So the Boston Celtics game plan of getting rough with Giannis and roughing him up like they did KD, that's not going to work. That is not going to work because I've said this in the past, Giannis is a bowling ball who wants to bump, who wants to play physical. And if you think that if that's your recipe for dealing with him, you got another thing coming. That's not going to work at all. And since we're on the subject of working, I thought that watching Memphis yesterday defensively, I thought they were really good on Steph and Clay. I thought they were really good on them. I don't think that they planned for Jordan Poole. When we talking about a dude who had 20 points between the second and third quarter, I don't think that they planned for him. I thought that their logic was, we're going to deal with Steph and we're going to deal with Clay as well as we possibly can. And I thought they did that. I absolutely thought they did that. We're talking about two guys that went 14 for 39 and 8 for 22, including Clay going 3 for 10 on the long ball. You know, Steph went 1 for 6 in the fourth quarter. I thought that they did a good job on him defensively. A really good job on him defensively. 1 for 5, I think it was. 1 for 5 or 1 for 6. I thought they did a really good job on him and Clay defensively. The problem that we having with Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks is that you didn't get anything from them offensively. 6 for 23, 5 rebounds and 4 assists combined from the both of those guys. That's not going to get it done against this team. Absolutely not. I mean, Ja is one of the most dynamic players that I've seen. And when I think about athleticism, when I think about excitement, when I think about his ability to get to the basket, I'm thinking about guys like Derrick Rose. I'm thinking about guys like Iverson, guys like that, and how difficult it is to deal with those guys once they get going. And I thought that the Warriors had a good game plan against him early, and that game plan was, you're gonna have to knock down the long ball. You're gonna have to do that. If we could keep guys like Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks at bay, where Desmond Bane isn't hitting 15 threes in 2 games. You know, if we could keep those guys at bay, Ja, you can hit 5, 6 threes. You can do that, sure. Because we can absorb that because we have those guys who can also shoot the long ball. I thought Steve Kerr did a good job with his rotations, adding in Kuminga, adding in Gary Payton II. Because what I'm doing now is I'm matching your athleticism. Right? I'm going to match your athleticism, and in the process of me matching your athleticism, we're going to keep it close. And we're keeping it close, the veterans are going to finish it. And that's going to be the difference in this series. The vets can finish it. And you don't have that. You don't have heady vets. You got a lot of young guys who are bouncy. You got a lot of young guys who are energetic. But when the game slows down, man, veteran, I can't put a price tag on how important being a veteran is and having that championship DNA. When I think about Jordan Poole, man, confidence in a basketball player, not just a basketball player, an athlete, is everything. And with a guy like Jordan Poole who has the green light to just do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. Yo, my man, when you get going and don't worry about us because we're going to get involved. Play your game. Not only play your game, don't worry about getting yanked in and out of the lineup. You're going to be out here with us. Just play your game. That's a vote of confidence that you can't buy. And Jordan Poole does such a good job at shot creating, drawing fouls. I mean, he settles for shots sometimes, but for the most part, he's got one of those games where once he gets going, you don't really have much of a shot against him. And his confidence just grows from there. So I like what I'm seeing from this Warriors team. I really do. I like what I'm seeing from this Warriors team. I thought before this series started that what Memphis did against Minnesota, it's not going to work against the Golden State Warriors. Simply because this is a vet team. This is a smarter team. So the things that you got away with against Minnesota, you're not going to get away with that against Golden State. Those open threes that Desmond Bane had, those open threes that Dylan Brooks had. Well, the basket doesn't look as big when you got to deal with Klay Thompson on the other end of the floor. When you got to deal with Steph Curry. Because those guys are going to make you guard. I mean, Anthony Edwards is going to make you guard. D'Angelo Russell is going to make you guard, but they're not going to make you guard like Steph and Clay are going to make you guard. And they're going to make you guard in stretches. They're not going to let you off the hook with the first thing that they get. And that takes a toll. It absolutely takes a toll. No question about it. That's just smart basketball. I worry a lot of times about, we had this conversation months back when I talked about Draymond Green getting thrown out of games and how he hampers his team defensively and how it could cost his team. You know, so to get thrown out of a game, I mean, that could work against Memphis because, I mean, this is a young group. This isn't a group that, like Phoenix or Dallas or a team like that where they'll be a little smarter. This isn't going to work against those teams. And the reason why it's not going to work against those teams, because exactly what I just said, they're smarter. And he has to be smarter than that. Now, I understand that it is the playoffs and you get to play a little bit more physical, but under no circumstances, under no circumstances, can you get thrown out of playoff games. You can't. That's bad for business. And I'm hoping that he's smarter in the next game. I am. I think Memphis is going to have a tough time with these guys. I think the Warriors handle them in 5 games, maybe 6 tops. I don't think that they let them off the hook in game 2. I do not. And I think that they can make quick work of Memphis. This is a team that when I think about young teams, that's exactly what I think. I think young. And I think that they can make quick work of them. But I'm real interested to see how this series goes. This series and that Boston-Milwaukee series are 2 of my favorite series going on right now. So I'll be here, guys. You know where to find me at. So until then, take it light, but take it.